It doesn't happen too often, but occasionally we're lucky enough to have a backed by popular demand show guest. Today we have Hernani Alves. He is a guy that I respect so much. We're going to hear his story a little bit, but we're going to talk today about his new book, The Champion Advantage. I'm going to challenge him a little bit in that and hopefully have a few takeaways for people who are, wanting to win, wanting to be something better than they are today, wanting to grow. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. His new book is The Champion Advantage. How you doing, Hernani?
I'm doing great. Such an honor to be here.
Well, the honor is mine. I just finished your book, and I know we'll talk a little bit about the book, but maybe we just start with your background a little bit, and that way we kind of set it up because you have a ton of credibility, and I don't want to undersell it, but you've had a lot of success in your life. So when you write about the champion advantage or how to win, it matters. I mean, we're all going to sit up and listen. And I'm going to challenge you a little bit because I want to have it be relatable to me and to our audience. And so I'm going to make sure I sort of bring it back to who I picture that might be listening to this. And maybe even I want to help myself too.
Awesome. Yeah. So a little bit about me. I always like to get the name out of the way. Hernani.
Yes.
Most of your listeners have probably never met another Hernani. Right?
Yeah.
You can't even go to the Sacramento Zoo and find a Hernani. That's how unique and exotic I am. So I grew up in Africa, Angola, Africa, and there's a lot of Hernanis there. There's a famous singer like the Elvis Presley. That's how I got the name. I can't sing.
Cannot sing.
I could do Garth Brooks, karaoke.
Okay.
Friends in Low Places, but that's about it.
Okay. Well, maybe at the end, if there's time.
Oh, I'd love to.
Okay. We'll do that.
We'll do it together.
Okay.
But I grew up in Africa, and from there, seeing my dad migrate. So entrepreneurs is very common in my family. All of us are entrepreneurs, and I know you said success that I've had. I've had a lot of screw ups.
Okay.
That eventually became successful. So that's where I kind of learned a lot from that. Mm-hmm. But went to college, and when I went to school, I was gonna go work for Chevron in Liverpool. I love traveling, so I wanted to get into international business. I had this opportunity to work at Chevron. I was going to make $30,000 back then. That was like 10 times more than what I was making. And I was going to get a white Ford Taurus. I was like so stoked.
Yes, I remember those.
Remember those? Those were cool.
Yeah, I remember wanting a Taurus because all the sales reps, right, account managers, they had brand new Tauruses, exactly. Right? So yeah,
like, cool.
That's a good goal to have when you're what? How old are you at the time? 20, 22?
I was 21-ish, right around that.
That's a good goal. You got the company car, right?
I was stoked.
Yeah.
And then I had a friend working at Sleeptrain Mattress Centers. You've heard of them. Yes. Unbelievable company. And he goes, I need a body. It's kind of like right now because people are needing bodies. They need people. That's how it was back then. They had just expanded to the Bay. He goes, we just need a body. Can you do this for 6 months? I'm like, okay. There's no way in heck I'm going to get into the mattress business. I mean, selling mattresses, there's nothing fun about that. So I'm not going to do this. And my mom and my parents were like, you're doing what? I'm working for Sleeptrain. I'm selling mattresses. They're like, who buys mattresses? Because we bought our mattresses at the flea market back then. Well, I went there for 6 months, fell in love with the company, fell in love with Dale's dream, and eventually I started off part-time, eventually became president of the company when we
Incredible story.
moved on.
Part-timer to president, right? That didn't happen by accident. So I'm sure some of what you picked up along the way at the Sleep Train is part of what's shaped you as a successful professional today.
Oh, no question.
Yeah.
There was so much from the team, the culture. Dale's a mentor of mine, still a mentor to me this day. We're in other business ventures that we work together and do. But I had a lot of screw ups. I remember early on, I had a label. They labeled me her Nazi, so that's my nickname, her Nazi. That was like the worst leader of all time.
Okay.
And I was on top of people. I micromanaged them. They couldn't even breathe. But we got results. So they were making more money. Our store was crushing it. But they could not stand me. And I remember getting the tough love from one of my district managers saying, do you know your team doesn't want to work with you? Do you know your nickname? And that was like the best lesson I ever learned because I had to flip the script and go, what was I doing wrong? And it was not empowering my people. I was a seagull manager. A seagull manager flies around, sees there's something going on, jumps in there, flusters everybody up, and then poops on the way out. And that's what I was doing. I was getting everybody all fired up, and I wasn't making them successful. But I was able to turn it around because I started listening to my team. I got feedback, and that's something leaders don't do very well. We don't listen. I can tell you that's something I always have to work on. So I listened to my team, and then a year later, they gave me the Best Leadership Award, and that was really the pivotal moment of where I saw the magic of empowering your team.
Yeah.
So,
well, obviously the Sleep Train had a ton of success. You, as the president, leading it to hundreds of millions of dollars and a successful exit for you and the team. A lot of people made a lot of money on your team, and created a lot of opportunities. So it's interesting to think about companies that succeed at the level of a Sleep Train. There aren't a lot, but at whatever level we have success, typically the people in our lives see that, their confidence builds, and opportunity is created for them. And obviously that happened at the Sleep Train. So credit to you and Dale and your team for what you built. It's a gem for our region. So thank you.
That's awesome.
All right, let's talk about. Okay, so I want to take this from a little bit of managing other people, which is important for business leaders, but a lot of us, we just want to be better ourselves. So if we're speaking out there to the person who has probably had a little bit of success, maybe they've started a business, they've thought about starting a business, maybe they've had wild success, but they want more, right? They're not done. They're not hanging it up. They're still, that's a guy like me. I've had a little bit of success. You've had a little bit of success. And some of this is like what you talked about is like self-awareness. It's like, why? Okay, Hernani, you've had success. Why aren't you more successful than you are?
Yeah.
Right? Let me just ask you that question. Why?
Yeah.
Because I was thinking about that. I was driving back here after listening to your book, and I was like, why haven't I had more success than I've had? I'd like to have more success. Yeah. Would you like to have more success?
I'm extremely blessed and grateful for the success
I'm grateful. I'm grateful.
No.
I'm happy. I'm a happy dude. But am I trying to become more successful? Yeah. I have goals. I have dreams. There's things I'm attempting to do, and they matter to me. Yeah. And they haven't happened as fast as it was what I would like to have them happen. So why, right? You do that self-assessment. Why hasn't it happened yet or enough yet? I think there's a lot of people that feel like I do, where it's like, well, it's taken a lot longer than I expected. Why? What am I doing wrong? Right? So how about you?
So go back to you want to be a lot more successful, right?
I want to achieve my goals faster.
Yeah. So define that. Is it your success? And I know you pretty well here.
Yeah,
it's not really your success. You get success from others.
I sold my companies several years ago, wrote a mission statement around creating opportunity for my family, friends, and community. So what does that mean? It's like, as they succeed, I succeed. And so I want to help people succeed. I'm on a mission now to ignite an entrepreneurial revolution right here in the hometown I love. And so I've battled to figure out how to do that. Podcasts, investments, events. Well, I'm making small progress, 2 steps forwards, 1 step back to a certain extent. Now I feel like I'm having a breakthrough, and there's a part of me that looks back and go, gosh, darn it. Why is it taking me so long to have a breakthrough? And actually, when COVID hit, I had a little bit of a breakthrough, and now the Growth Factory is launched. And some of the things that I've been trying to figure out for the last several years, all of a sudden, it's right in front of my face. And now I'm working on it, I think, in a more direct way. So if I'm asking myself the question, why didn't I get there sooner? I think it's an interesting question that I didn't make the right decisions, right, along the way. I was unable to, I was doing too many different things, and I didn't narrow my focus.
Yeah, chasing too many rabbits.
Right.
And that's what entrepreneurs tend to do.
Yeah.
And that's what most people tend to do. And your audience isn't always, they could be an entrepreneur that's had this dream that they want to do, but they just haven't taken action. They're still dreaming about it. And your audience and whoever is listening to that, they need to stop dreaming. Stop dreaming.
Really?
Yeah, stop dreaming.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, here we go.
I'm calling BS on that one.
Stop dreaming and start doing.
Okay.
Start doing. Because what happens is you start dreaming, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I'm only going to act as soon as I win the lottery. I don't know a single person that's won like the lottery over $1 million. But I do know the facts that 72% of the people that do win the lottery end up going bankrupt.
Well, okay. I agree with that. I agree with action. All right. Your mindset creates your attitude, helps create your attitude, which creates your decision-making, your behaviors, and ultimately your outcome. But it's at that action point. But I think a lot of people, right, I believe in dreaming, so I'm going to challenge you, because I think each of us are inspired in different ways. For me, I love the big dream and visualizing it. And then from there, I turn it into action at some level, probably not the right action, often, but I believe that violence of action is key. And there's a lot of people out there that are mistaking movement for action, right? Like they're kind of going through the motions. I call it sheeple syndrome, right? Where they're kind of like going through the motions, but they're not taking real action, massive action, violence of action.
Yes. Which is very true.
So I can't dream anymore?
So my son, he's a freshman in high school. So we're having this conversation because he's dreaming about becoming a really good soccer player.
Okay.
And he's really good now, but I want to make the varsity team. All right, so what are you going to do today? I'm going to go upstairs and I'm going to work on my homework. Okay, what are you going to do after your homework? I'm going to play some video games and all that. I'm like, so you're going to become a professional video gamer. That's what you're going to do. But your dream is to become a better player.
The audio doesn't match the video
no,
there, huh?
So you have to take action and go do something that's going to benefit you for this specific. And that's where you get the growth mindset.
Okay.
That's where in the book I get into growth and fixed mindset. A fixed mindset says you have two basketball players and they're struggling. They're not very good basketball players. One basketball, the kid will go, I'm just not very good. Maybe I should do something else. This isn't my sport. The other basketball player, I'm not very good at it, but I'm going to do things to improve. I'm going to go shoot hoop. I'm going to go watch YouTube and learn from what else I can do. I'm going to ask my coach how I can stay longer. You get into that growth mindset. So I know you talked about success and you're like, it's not happening fast enough. Success takes time. And if you start...
Tell me about it.
Yeah, and guess what? Success is by failing. So you have to fail, because you'll never become successful until you fail, because you don't know what success is until that happens, right?
Yes.
So you had to go through this journey. But I'm sitting from knowing your journey. You've been extremely successful. Very quickly.
But I think that's the difference. Hopefully, I still, even at my age, I still have a growth mindset. I'm still trying to learn. I'm still trying to make some kind of impact, do something important in my life, make my my son, my kids proud of me. So I still have a desire, but I use the dream in order to sort of. It's my visual of where I'm going, because I'm forgetful, so I have to remember the dream, and it kind of gives me that sense of knowing that I'm sort of like a North Star. For me, it does that, and for me, that's part of if I have a growth mindset, it's part of that. So your basketball analogy, the person that wants to improve in basketball, sounds like he or she has a growth mindset. They want to improve, so that's half the battle. That's part of the battle. 100%. It's obviously not action, but so what would you say? So what would you say? And I don't think we should spend a ton of time on the person that doesn't want to improve, right? But like if somebody out there didn't have a growth mindset, right? That other basketball player, what should they do?
Yeah, and I know you said you don't want to spend a lot of time on the person that doesn't want to
Okay,
improve,
well, we can.
But the world has gotten extremely so much more negative, especially here since 2007, where we had the Great Depression, and then we get into cell phones, and then we get into social media. It has gotten super negative, right?
I'll turn on the news.
So there are so many people out there that are they feel like they're just hunkered down, and they have these voices inside of them saying, I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I can't learn new things. I'm too old. I missed my opportunity. Those are the people that are sitting on silence, and they need to reflect and go, no, I can take action. Those things I can do. And it's called, I love science. So I'm a big science guy. I love that. Neuroplasticity. Have you ever heard of that?
I've heard of it. It sounds like, it sounds sophisticated.
It does. It's way out of my league. Don't ask me to spell it. But Neuro stands for brain. Plasticity means that you can continue learning. So you can always continue learning new information. It's just you make a decision to listen to this inside voice and say, I'm not going to take action.
Well,
I'm just going to hunker down. I've already missed my boat.
Yeah. So those people, though. So if as you say this, I think about this. So I get a lot of. So you and I are in the same field, if you will. Like we are helping people to become more successful, create opportunities. So we're sort of. I get these questions a lot. So to me, this is a really interesting topic. Reading your book, or I listened to it, it hit home for me, and I it reinforced a lot of the stuff I like to think that I believe, or I do believe, excuse me. But people that have that fixed mindset, advice, turn off the news, get off of social media, put the phone, it's like, get rid of the friends in your life that are downers and have the down mindset, the fixed mindset, and put yourself around people that think correctly. Put the audio book of something positive on. Listen to a podcast that's positive. Is that? I mean,
yeah. So the first thing when I get approached with that, and I work with CEOs and executives, sometimes they're caught up in that. Like, we can't do that. Our company, there's no way we can do that. I'll hear excuses, and excuses is the language of losers, right? So you got to get past that. So
change your language. Okay.
So change your language. So how are you going to do that? It's not going to be me. It's not going to be the preacher. It's not that. It's you, because no one can make you feel the way you do. You make yourself feel that way. So you have to snap out of it. So I actually put them through meditation. And you're like, no, we're not going to sit there with our, with our hands and our knees crossed and all this. You don't have to do that.
Doesn't have to be a yoga position.
I used to make fun of people that meditated because I didn't know it. I didn't understand it. I didn't know the power of it.
You made fun of people, Hernani?
I did. Jeez. I'm taking the hit. I was like, no way. Wow. I'm not going to meditate. There's nothing wrong with me. I don't need to do that because I am normally moving pretty quick. I'm like, my mind's going through. But meditation helps you clear your thoughts. So what it does is you're still going to have these thoughts. So my best analogy, because I know you like analogies and things, you have a beautiful waterfall. Just think of the most beautiful waterfall you could see. So you see all this water coming over it, and it's going down. Well, those are your thoughts. That's kind of those thoughts that are going through your mind. And you could be in two places. You could be at the bottom of that, just getting pounded by all those thoughts to the point where you're getting suffocated. Or you can understand those are thoughts and then back up away and look how beautiful all those thoughts are and only take action on the thoughts you need to take. So that's what happens. I mean, there's so many professional.
Step outside of yourself for a second and visualize what you're thinking and cast out the negative ones.
And that helps with clarity. LeBron James, unbelievable basketball player. Before he goes back, he'll sit on the sidelines. He'll put the towel over his head, sit there, and he'll meditate before he goes back in because he has to tune out the crowd. He has to tune out the noise. He's got to tune out all the shots that he's already missed, and he will get clarity of what he needs to do to take action. And that's like Lou Holtz. He talks about win. Let's go win. Win stands for what's important now. So what's important now? What do I truly need to do?
Well, that is a key part of your book. Reading that, and I've heard what's important now before, but it reinforces it because I feel like a lot of times, you and I are doing mentoring for the Growth Factory, which are these early stage startup companies that are trying to decide what's important now because there's a lot of different ways they could take their company, just like there was a lot of ways I could take the podcast. And, what I'm doing, it's like, I didn't always do what was important now, and that was a big piece of why it's taken so long. How do you decide what's important now? That's kind of an important, to me, allocation of your time is your most precious resource. How to use that time most effectively, what's most important now, those are the enormous decisions in life.
Yep.
How do you figure that out?
So we all have the same amount of time, but it's all about how you utilize that time. And there's things that are, I call them like energy vampires that just suck up your time. And in theory, you just got to reflect, what are those things that are really, truly sucking up my time that's not productive, that's not helping me achieve my win? Okay. What is your win? What's important now? What do you truly have to get done? And Lou Holtz was the famous football player or football coach at Notre Dame. He's in the college football. I'm a big
got
Notre
a book
Dame
back
fan.
there. I have his book in.
Oh, do you? Okay.
So, yeah, I
Love
have your
him.
book in front of it right now. Sorry.
And then what he does, he gets these kids coming in from high school. Now they're going to college. And he's like, I need to get them focused because they're all over the place. So he would tell them, I need you to focus on what's important now. So when you go to school and you're taking your class, what's important now is not football. It's not that girlfriend. It's what you're taking, these grades, because you got to get these grades. When you come to practice, what's important now is running these drills and making sure we master this play or whatever it is. When we go to the game, what's important now? And he would always say, okay, what's important right now? And I just did this with my son. Like he didn't want to do the dishes. He kind of was going to punt it to do it later, but I know he's forgetful. So he was going to get it. And then my wife's going to get all fired up and it's going to cost. So I go, buddy, what's important right now to do the dishes? Bingo. And he did the dishes, but he was getting caught up on going to go play video games. He's caught up to go check his fantasy team.
Well, what about, so in CrossFit, we have something called an AMRAP, as many reps as possible, and you try to do as many as you can for the workout, right?
Yeah.
Have you heard of that before?
I didn't know the name of it, but
yeah,
I've
they
heard
call it
that's important.
AMRAP. It's an acronym for as many reps as possible. And I have this philosophy that is, if what's most important now is if you're looking to achieve a big goal, you're working on things that are really, and washing the dishes might be a pretty big key in getting to where he wants to go. Yeah. So, but the more time that we spend on the goal, on the actions associated with the goal, with the championship, that's what it is. And so as many reps as you can do it correctly, right? Versus like going half speed, full tilt, banging, right? Mm-hmm. In the flow, in the zone. That to me is like, we don't spend as much time as we should in the zone that it takes to actually improve or advance the ball.
Correct.
So your son, what should he be doing if he wants to be advancing the ball? Advancing toward his goal.
Yeah, so it'd have to be. So if he wants to do the soccer, part of it, he could be juggling. There's a lot of different things. But I would always tell him, I go, what are some things you could do? Because I don't want to come up with the answers for him. Because once I come up with it, it's dad mentioning it, and you always want to give them ownership. Like, what are some things you want to improve on? And he'll go, well, I'm trying to juggle the ball more. Okay, what are some things you could do there to juggle? I only get to 50, and then the ball falls off. Like, if you looked at some different YouTube, so you give them some resources. You want them to go do the hunting, because when they do the hunting and they make the kill, they're going to enjoy it so much more than me telling them exactly how to get there. Yeah. So when you work with business executives and leaders and people that have dreams, you help them, you check their blind spots. And that's why coaches are so important to come in, because they check their blind spots. Entrepreneurs are amazing dreamers, and they're normally chasing too many rabbits, but they need to go after that one rabbit first, capture that one, and then move on to the next rabbit, because it's so hard to catch.
Would that be like milestones? These rabbits, right? So there's a lot of rabbits, I agree. Yep. And then you got to choose which one is what's most important now. And to me, that's an interesting question, is deciding what that is. And I guess what you're saying is that the entrepreneur himself or herself, they really need to make that decision. They need to step back and decide what is important now.
Yes. But they also need someone to kind of help guide them. They need someone to kind of challenge their thinking, ask some questions for them to think about, and then hold them accountable. At the end of the day, it's that personal accountability part. Okay, you said you're going to do this. We didn't get to that because you got sidetracked. Okay, let's go back. I always look for the trigger. So what caused you to get sidetracked? Did you jump on your emails? Did you go and look at some text? Did you get thrown into a meeting, or did you force yourself into a meeting? Is there certain things that are taking your time away? Because we all have that time. And what I found is you could normally get rid of 20% of stuff you currently do, and it won't even be missed. It won't even be missed. And as I've challenged my team, even at sleeptrain, okay, so you guys don't say we have time. We're so busy right now. What are some things we can get rid of that we can stop doing? So that's a good little reflection, is what should you stop doing?
Yes. A lot of people don't think that. They want to do more. And the types of things that people need to cut out as entrepreneurs, starting a business is really hard. Would you say you got to cut out almost everything? As an entrepreneur, right? Big goal, to build change the world. you're launching something, and what gets cut out. That's kind of an interesting question to face.
So you have to break it down into chunks. Because if you look at, like, I'm going to climb Mount Everest, right? You can't climb it in a day. You got to go through all these different base camps. You got to get adjusted. So you got to break it down. I know you've heard I always use it just because it sends home. Plus, I'm from Africa. How do you eat an elephant?
One bite at a time, right?
One small bite at a time, right?
Small bite.
So you got to break those up into small bites. And we would do, so when you work with, let's just say we want to raise $20 million. Okay, that's a lot of money. Oh my gosh, $20 million. Well, let's break it down. How are we going to break that? When do you have to raise it? Let's break it down by month.
Okay.
What do you got to do? Because it's seasonality. Let's break it down by week. Who's got to do what? What does that percentage look like? And then you get down to a small chunk. And then we start celebrating those small chunks, but it keeps us on track to hit that.
Go get one bite. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Go take a bite.
So
I think of that. I think that's one of the things that's probably stalled me a little bit. And I've seen it stall other people is analysis through paralysis, or paralysis through analysis, right? I'm sitting there maybe dreaming too much, or maybe analyzing and thinking about it instead of just picking up the phone or making the visit or, taking a bite.
Yep.
Yeah. I've seen that happen myself. There's times too, though. Okay. So picture my journey. And I think this is a journey with a lot of entrepreneurs. You kind of get down on yourself when you're not succeeding as fast as you want, right? So luckily my parents beat any victim out of me, so I've never felt like it's anybody else's fault but my own. I got nobody to blame but myself. But I get frustrated with myself, and you begin to doubt you doubt yourself a little bit. Is this really going to happen? What else do I need to do? Right. So how do you deal with people that, they've begun to doubt themselves? Maybe they still want it. They want the prize, but they're beginning to doubt themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. When that doubt creeps in, that's where, again, meditation part of it helps you understand those thoughts, because it's just a thought that's going through your mind. Are you going to take action on it or not? But you really got to be grateful. And I know you're extremely grateful, but you got to reflect and go, okay, what are the top 3 things I'm grateful for today? Kind of really talk, because if you magnify the negatives in yourself, guess what's going to happen? You're going to see and we're the biggest critics is ourselves. But most leaders, they're so good at taking care of other people, they're horrible at taking care of themselves. Yeah. And the most important person is themselves, right? So they got to take care of that. And
that failure or that frustration that I might have with my own performance or my own achievement in the process, that really is learning, right? So that's, back to failure. Okay, so you failed, you basically learned, right? It's just part of the process. That's something that's hard to accept, but I agree with it. It is difficult to accept, though.
Yeah, so I call it successful in my first book. And then when you kind of brought me in 3 years ago, it was with balanced accountability. I know you just had Matt Anderson on here.
Right, yeah.
Right, from Pride. So Matt's a big, I've worked with him for years.
He's your work wife, right?
Yeah, we're not going to get into that here. This is not one of those shows. But I love Matt to death.
That's awesome.
But he's part of the book. And we used to have these things called successful screw-ups.
Okay.
And we wanted to have a successful screw-up really quick. So the first thing on a successful screw-up is you need to fail fast. So fail fast. Minimize what you're going to do on the failing part. So, okay, let's know we're going to fail. We're going to learn from what we got to do. Let's just jump in there. But the worst thing to do is not take action, right? We fail fast. Then we debrief. We bring other people to give us some feedback, and then we roll it out. So, for example, like the book, I threw it out there. The book all came. I wasn't going to write another book. So I'm a C student. I know you've said it. I am like a D- student when it comes to English, because I'm a math.
Oh yeah.
I'm like an A+.
Great at math, but you moved from Africa, so it didn't. And your parents were immigrants.
Exactly.
So yeah.
So it wasn't. So the book, the way it came out, I was working with T-Mobile. I've done 32 different acquisitions. So I know how to bring teams together very quickly, get them focused and pointed north really quick, get them collaborating and working fast. So the day before I met with the CEO. We're going to tell the new acquisition team and kind of bring them together. I was going to talk about balanced accountability, how to win hearts, have a whole presentation on it. So we get there, and he's like, we're kind of going through some things. COVID. This is March 19th, so I'm presenting on March 20th. So this is back
in March 19th in 2020, right at the beginning of COVID.
Right at the beginning.
Okay.
So he goes, I can't have you talk about balanced accountability tomorrow. He hadn't gone through it, but I want him to go through that part. He goes, we need to change the mindset in our team. I might have to close some stores. We may have to furlough. I don't know what's going on. I can't get out of the deal. Mm-hmm. And it was, 24 hours, I had to come up with, I have another one that I talk about, change equals improvements.
Okay.
Because we have to change and modify, and people are always resistant to change. But once you change, it's really an improvement that you've made.
Yeah.
And it was called the champion advantage.
Oh.
So I had to kind of pivot. So that ended up becoming my popular talk that I did throughout COVID.
And you turned that information into the book. And here we are. Okay.
That's how that all kind of came to be.
Interesting.
It wasn't planned. So a year later, that's where the book came
in. So you pivot, like a quick pivot. You made your own COVID pivot. I would have to imagine that COVID affected your type of business. Obviously, you had to change the talk, but did you have to go more to like virtual type of talks and stuff? Yeah.
And as a speaker, that's no fun. You like to be in the audience. You like to kind of feel their energy. But here you are in front of a screen, a big old light. And you can normally only see one person. Sometimes you can't see anybody else, and you're talking to a few hundred people.
Yeah.
And it's hard to kind of get those breakout groups and just kind of get that feeling. But we did it. We had to do it. Those were things you had to pivot, and that's something I learned from my dad of being forced out of Africa and losing everything he had. He's always maximized his controllables. Mm-hmm. So maximizing my controllable, I stopped watching the news because I was going crazy.
Yeah. Okay. So this is interesting to me because I think a lot of Americans, probably across the world, you would know this better than me, but we spend a lot of our time talking about politics, talking about, what's going on with our fantasy football team or the NFL, bad decisions that my favorite, coach might have made. There's, all these things that are out there that the world is throwing into us. We spend a lot of time in that stuff and that crap.
Because it's easy. It's on your phone.
Yeah.
That's what 2007, I was kind of going back. 2007, the iPhone comes out. 2 years later, people really started getting into social media. And if you look at the graph of social media and you look at the negative, there's actually Gallup does it, a negative index for the world. It's like both of them are just going right up with each other. And I mean, most people have had some negative parts of social media. The news, how do they get their ratings? They magnify how negative it is and how bad it is. And that's where you got to filter through that. You can.
Do you think the world, though, the world's becoming that? So those people that don't follow the crowd, the sheep, they don't have sheeple syndrome where they're just following the crowd. It's just the way that it is, and I'm going to cry about it and complain about it. Just a lot of people are like that. That the people that don't do that, right? They are really unique. There's less of those people today that are filtering that crap out, and maybe that's an advantage. Maybe that is the champion advantage, is because it's like, wow, there's less people that are in
fist pump.
Yeah,
you just nailed it.
There's less people that there's less people that are a lot of people are acting like victims. This is, I call it the wussification of, society at some level, right? It's like the ones that suck it up and take action, do the things that you're talking about. Come on, there's not as much competition. There's not as many of those people.
No, and it starts with you. You got to realize that it starts with you. It's not someone else. So then I like to always bring up analogies. I know you read the book, so do you remember the bison and the cow theory that I talked about there? Cows, I grew up on a dairy, so I've seen it. When the storm comes in, the cows run away and they go hide underneath, or they just move away. Bison, the reason they've been around for over 10 million years is they see a storm come and they go directly into it. And they know the faster they get into it, the faster they're going to get out on the other side. So that's what I just heard you say it with COVID, kind of what we went through. We had to make some adjustments and it became more clear because there was something that kind of forced you to do it, but you took action yourself.
Yeah. Well, and I think for COVID, for me, I'm not proud of the way I handled the first. You talked about March last year or 2020. Yeah, last year. I all of a sudden went to in 2008, I had to do a lot of layoffs, and it was really, really difficult for me to do that. And we turned it around after some really gut-wrenching cutbacks and decisions. We turned it around and ended up, being successful, but it was hard. And we went to hunker down mode for a bit, and I think it was the right decision for our company back then. And so when this crisis hit, COVID, I went straight back there, and I was mad. I stepped back. I wasn't really proud of my leadership with my team. I'm more like, crap, I'm going through it again, and how long is this going to last and all that. And it took a few months for me to come out of that. And but when we did that pause, right, I quit doing a lot of other stuff. We quit doing our events. We quit doing a lot of things. We quit doing our team meetings the same way we were. And we really sat back and meditated a little bit, but I didn't technically meditate, but that pause, all of our team, it led to what we're doing today, which is a lot more focused.
Yeah. So you kind of reflected what was going on. We all went through it. I went through it, and I know a lot of the science behind it. I remember when it all started, I watched the news like 8 hours a day, like what's going on. I was scared to go to the grocery store. When I did go to the grocery store, I like stripped down in the garage.
Yes.
And my wife cleaned everything off, and I didn't want to bring it. We all did it.
Oh, my gosh.
But then you start going, do I really need to do all that? What can I do within my control? I can go outside, and I can get exercise. And that was one of the first things I started doing. I started golfing because I knew that was a good thing, so I could get out and do some stuff. That's what you have to do, is you have to reflect.
Go do something. Yeah, reflect and then go do something. I started listening to health podcasts and joined yoga, and so I took some positive action on the health front. But then we took that pause caused us to take some positive action on the business front as well. So in a sense, it was almost like a blessing in disguise for me personally, even though it was a tough few months. It was.
And the key thing here is when you go through all that, as an entrepreneur, we think we have to have all the answers and so forth, but your team is going to help you through this. I remember at Sleeptrain through 2007, we were in the same situation. Sales slowed down. We have all this real estate. We had to still make our bills and pay. The executive team took a pay cut. We were living, when I say paycheck to paycheck, it was just enough money to bring in, and we didn't pay some of our vendors right away like we normally do, just enough money so we have payroll, so we could do payroll to our people. Yeah. And we did this exercise with our team called Stop the Bleeding. We had to stop the bleeding. And we go, we need your help. We have to stop the bleeding. What are some things that we can do within our control to stop the bleeding? So we did that. Everybody got empowered. We started saving some expenses. And then we're like, okay, we need more sales. So what should we do? Should we go after the $99 twin? Let's go price leader. We're not going to make much money, but let's bring them in. And the feedback was, no, we have the people that are coming in have money. They have a problem. They can't sleep. They want to spend money. Let's make sure everybody's educated on our power foundations, ergo motion bases. This is a $2,500 upgrade. Like, you sure you want to go that route? We went all in. We trained our team. We held them accountable. They held us accountable. We made sure we had inventory, and we went through the roof on selling power foundations. Wow. $2,500 upgrade, because those customers coming in needed that love. They needed to have a good night's sleep. That's awesome. That helped us come out of it so strong, and that's why. Yeah,
instead of staying on your heels forever, right? You the pause, you're able to pivot hard, and you had a violence of action as a unit. And as you were sharing that story and making me, this caused me to sort of reflect back on COVID when it first hit and stuff. We made some pretty tough cutbacks around here too during that time, and I don't know that I've ever publicly thanked my teammates for standing by me, right, propping me up at some level. And, they went from doing one main job to do, we had a few less employees, to doing 3 jobs. Scott over here does, he's working on a lot of projects for me. So our productivity went through the roof because Scott picked up picked up a lot of the work. Tammy, my assistant, she cleans the building. We've now brought in the janitors back and all that. But we got rid of the landscaping. We got rid of the, it's like, hey, prepare for war, right? And ultimately, all our businesses did fine, and so now we're okay. We're fine. But I'm so grateful to my teammates for saying, "We got you. We'll help you." So,
and
yeah.
A good lesson I learned. Frank DeAngelis, he was the Columbine principal. During that, remember the shooting that kind of happened, lost 12 students. One of the teachers, I was like one of the very first thing, it was 1999. I still remember that. He helped me with, I gave him a whole chapter on it. It's chapter 3, the true champion. I wanted people to go, what's a true champion? All the adversity and different things he went through. And he has this quote that I love to death, and I will say it here, and it's something good for entrepreneurs, is people don't care about how much you know until they know how much you care. And that's powerful once you do that. And your team did that because they know how much you care about them. Yeah. And they rallied together as a family because you showed them the love.
I care more about them now.
Yeah, of course. I've always seen that with you and very successful
thank you.
entrepreneurs.
I'm lucky to have really good employees, good teammates that, don't ask for anything, and we just all go to work. So,
but they know you always, you say, by your side, right? You are always by their side.
I heard that in the book, by the way. You said always by your side in the book. I'm like,
what is that?
What? That's my book, folks, in case you didn't know.
It is your book.
Yeah. So, and I noticed you referenced that. And it's true. Yeah. One other thing that and this is your show, it's my show, but it's your opportunity. But one other thing that I was thinking about as I was listening to your book is a mantra that I picked up recently, because a lot of us get, I'd say, in society, you get criticized for being obsessive about your work, or a workaholic, or these kind of things. It's like, man, and there's a lot of people out there that are working for the weekend, playing for the paycheck. They really they're sort of celebrating not working. I really like what I do. And so I'm the type of person that wants to immerse myself in what I love, and then I just call it work, right? So what would you say to those people that are like out there, like, okay, should I work 40 hours a week, or, what's the right amount? Because, hard work at some level is underrated. It does help. Work smart is good, but working hard is a big deal. But hopefully you're doing what you love. That's
the key. Doing what you love. And if you don't love it, go find something that you are going to love doing. Yeah. So,
don't sit at the current job and point fingers at the boss and why it's not ran right and it's not a good job. Make a move, man.
Stop dreaming. Yeah. Take action. Go do. You know what it is. But everybody's unique, so there's not a one fits all for everybody. So, like when I was younger, I would work 60, 80 hours. Didn't have kids. Even when I did have kids, I went too far. I was working, I was traveling. My wife pretty much raised the kids. And then once I started getting older, I was like, I'm sacrificing a lot of family time here. So I went the other side. Once I did leave Sleep Train and we sold it and so forth, I decided to spend more time at home, being involved in my kids' life, because my daughter at that time was a freshman. She was kind of growing through high school, so I wanted to be there for her matches. I wanted to be there as a parent because I have never even gone to back to school. And if you haven't gone to back to school, you just got to go through that experience. It's actually kind of fun. I had never done that until I did it.
You mean back to school night?
Back to school night. I know.
You didn't go to back to school night?
I know. I'm a bad person.
What kind of father are you?
I know. I am. I have an unbelievable wife that put up with me. But I had to reflect going, I need to be more present at home too. So I had to balance it.
Yeah, because when you have the big dreams, to me, I have. So for me, and somebody listening out there, you can take my experience and throw it out the garbage and do your own. But I have a dream around my family, a dream around my friends and business partners, a dream around building something for our community, and then a dream around me and my health and being the fittest 85-year-old in the Sacramento region. I've only got about 30 more years, 28 more years, and I'll be there. So I got a little time to get there. But
what you have is, a lot of people confuse you with passion. Haney's got a lot of passion. And you actually have a lot of purpose is what you have. That's the difference between purpose and passion. You're always looking for somebody that has a lot of purpose. A lot of passion, they just aren't really doing. They're there. their positive mental attitude. They're always, oh, this is great, blah blah blah. But there's really no purpose. Like, what do you really truly? You have a purpose.
I'm all purpose.
So what are you doing with your dream of your family? Are you taking action there?
Yes, I am building the most. And Scott's helping me, so I'm pretty good at having teammates help me with stuff. We're building a family compound. It's called Haneyville, and it's the most magical place on earth outside Disneyland. So it's this bigger than life thing, and it looks like a town. And so we've called it Haneyville. We've got our own website and so on. Cool. It's like so this is why I'm kind of against your dream thing. That again, we're all different, but like if it helps me to paint that picture and have that dream. It helps me get up in the morning.
So you got the dream, but you're taking action on it.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying don't just stop dreaming and actually go take action of what you're doing. So that's what you're doing.
So I have it for my family. It's like this project, and I'm involved in the day-to-day life of going to, like tonight, my son's, or my grandson's 9th birthday. Scott helped me make him a video, and we're going to a River Cats game, and he gets to throw out the opening pitch of the River Cats game tonight. So like I'm entrenched with my family. So I would say to you, in terms of life balance and so on, or anybody that's listening, is maybe it's okay to have more than one dream or more than one purpose. Have 3, have 4, but then make sure you divide them up so that. The wife isn't doing all the work, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, or carrying, the only one going to back to school night.
So true. I have gone since then back to school now, but I missed a lot of meetings. I was traveling, but I did feel really bad.
You fixed it.
I fixed it. I had to take action and go, like, I wasn't proud of that. But what I haven't heard from you is you're not chasing the money. See, and that's what people start doing is they'll start going after the money. They start going after that lottery ticket, but you're going through the processes of things that make you feel where success
I feel like the money will just it'll arrive at some level. So the things I do have to do with money. But that's not the goal.
It's experiences, right?
Yeah, it's the experiences, and I know that as they succeed, I will succeed, and it's that simple to me. I'm a C student, so I have to break it down simple. Hey, I'm just going to help some people succeed, and that's going to be very rewarding for me in the long run. Somehow it's going to come back around. And I'm doing it for the love. You've probably heard me share the story about wanting to have the business partners in my backyard that all love one another, right? And so that love is part of the reward. It's like, wow, because I know there's magic. You felt this in the sleep train. When the team culture is around unity and love, that's magic happens. And I think that can happen for Sacramento, starting with my business partners as the perfect example of what's possible. And when you rallying the leaders of Sacramento to be in on that love fest in the backyard. So to me, I have to visualize it. And then we actually have made it happen at some level. And, but my dreams are a lot more grandiose today.
So that's about the leader you are is making others greater than themselves. That's your goal. That's what you're trying to do is benefit and help them do that. Yeah. My brother, which is an older brother, he's I don't like to spend money. And I've been told I'm a tight ass. Oh,
you do not like to spend money.
So my brother's always, you're such a tight ass. Hernani, do you know that when you go to heaven, how much money you can bring with you? He goes, 0. Yeah. You could take 0 money. It's all about the experiences and the memories that you have.
How old's your brother?
He's coming up to 60 next year. My brother Joe.
Some of that might come with. I wonder if that comes with age a little bit, right? He's a little bit older, and he's getting a little closer to that, to that door, and you have to start having a slightly different perspective. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not all about the money.
It isn't, but it's. Yeah, it's just that was a good lesson for me to understand that it's lessons. It's stop chasing that part of it. And it's just amazing how it starts to, money sometimes does come around and opportunities open up. You still want to take those, but what's really important in your life? That's and you have that figured out, but some people don't. They don't quite know where they're headed yet.
Well, let's turn it on you. So we've talked about me. I'm all, family, friends, community, personal growth, and fitness and so on. How about you? What's your thing? What's your why? Do you break it up into categories like that? Or how do you, What makes you tick?
100%. Just like that, just the way you have it. Early on in my career, it was about the money. It was a career, and I put everything into it. My family sacrifice. Well, now it's family. So family first, making sure I'm doing things with being in the moment is the other one too. Because I sometimes I could grab my phone, or I could start thinking work or all this. I try to really, the meditation helps me focus on that, is focus on being in the moment right there, put my phone away, help my son or wife just be a better human being when it comes to being a dad and a husband. So, and I could tell you, I've messed that one up early on. So I'm learning from that, and I'm being much better.
Well, there may be somebody out there listening is going, yeah, well, you guys have had success. Easy for you guys to say that you can go to, back to school night, or, build a family compound or whatever. Okay. And I would say to entrepreneurs out there, or anybody that is, you might be trying to make the varsity baseball team, or get to become a pro football player, or whatever it is. To me, winning, if you break it down into a series of sprints versus this marathon, a lot of people say, oh, it's a marathon, don't push yourself so hard. And I would suggest that we have these windows of opportunity that we need to go all in and sprint, and we can't do that forever. We need some time to be hanging, but there are times when and it may be when you're launching a company, or maybe when you have a turnaround that you have to do because COVID hit or something. There are times when you have to block out most of the life balance stuff and go in on what's most important now, and really block out the other stuff. And sometimes you get your life out of balance, and that is okay.
Yeah. And I know we talk about values in a company. Those are things that are going to help you, guide you to help you get to your purpose. Mm-hmm. But do you personally have your own purpose? Like, what do you want to be remembered as? What's your purpose? It's normally going to be a one-sentence statement.
Yeah,
so
for me, it's creating opportunity through commitment. Yeah. I really love helping create opportunity, and I really love doing that for people who are committed. Right. To me, it's like my number one core value in life. We might have even talked about this last time you were on the show. You talked about accountability. Mm-hmm. And I said, it's about commitment, man. Mm-hmm. Commitment. I'm drawn to commitment. You bring me somebody who's committed, and it's like, okay, because that, to me, that's the most important quality that somebody can have, is keeping their commitment. And to me, I want my best friends to be committed to me, and I want my teammates to be committed to the goal. Yeah. And I can't look past that. If I see commitment, it's like, oh man, I'll bring a tear to my eye because I see somebody who's so committed to what they're trying. I see a kid trying to turn a double play out there, practicing after practice. I'll start crying because I'm like, holy cow, look at that commitment. Yeah. And I'm drawn to that.
You're fired up. You love it.
That's how I am.
You know why? Because it's your purpose. It's why Mark Haney exists, is your purpose.
Well, I hope everybody who's listening writes it down, right? Thinks about what it is. Step back, 100%. Do your meditation, and decide.
Before you do anything else, figure out why you exist. So that one sense. Okay, now you own it. Yeah. But now what are your values? You said commitment's one of them.
Commitment, humility, authenticity. Those are the top three.
That's it.
Okay. But commitment is like the number one that I'm attracted to. But I'm also attracted to, and I hope I live this way as well, that's super authentic, very real, if you will. And then to me, humility is sometimes I don't act as humble as what I like to, but I like being around other people that have humility, that demonstrate humility, and I want to be that type of person. And so those are I think those are my top three core values.
And that's probably what makes up 80% of your value.
It's what I think when I'm thinking about who I want to be around.
And so anyone that's listening, you want to have your purpose. Why do you exist? Come up with your values, 3 to 4 things that make up 80% of it. And then from there, get rid of everything else that doesn't fit in. So for example, someone's not committed to you, get rid of them. Move on. Go find, because there's so many more people out there that wants the love. They want that support. So that's where you kind of reflect. So now you've got your own purpose. We're so worried about the company, how it's going to do, but figure yourself out, get aligned. And once you get aligned, everything else starts to open up.
Yeah. And as an investor, people ask me about that too. So what do you look for? Often I'll say commitment. And you can kind of tell even if you're interviewing somebody for a job, it's like, what's their commitment level? Well, I kind of like your, if they're acting a little nonchalant about the effort or the opportunity, well, they're probably not. Maybe in this job market, you got to take what you can get, but you want people who have commitment.
Absolutely.
Gosh,
and that's what's happening right now. We got the Great Resignation, right, where people are leaving jobs. You've probably heard the stat. It's nearly 7 out of 10 people are they're thinking about moving on and doing something else.
Yeah.
They're getting caught up in the whole, the grass is greener on the other side,
Yes.
right? They're totally caught up in that because their grass is brown because they haven't been watering and fertilized. They really need to reflect and go, why haven't I been taking care of my own grass?
And I would argue that to the 30% that are committed, if you're one of the 30, like you are if you're in a growing company and you are in the 30, you are so valuable to that company. Oh my God. It's like all those sheeple, going to change. Even the people that are talking about moving out of state, you know what, I might move out of Sacramento, move out of California and so on. It's like, okay, knock yourself out. You do what you want to do. You be you. I'm not trying to change anybody's mind. But for the rest of us that are committed, I mean, the opportunity, I think, for people who are loyal, committed, going to see it through, going to fix the problem versus run from it. Those are just character traits that leads to happiness, in my opinion.
No question. I think you hit the nail on the head there with the being committed, just being. Are you there? And that's where people want to leave organizations. They're going to go somewhere else. They're just going to bring that garbage, that drama, whatever is kind of affecting them there at work. Figure out what it is. Try to fix it first, because I could tell you it's a lot easier to fix what's going on currently in that business than just jumping ship, going somewhere else, having to relearn everything, and then realize, oh my gosh, it's still my grass over here is not greener, and I wish I would have came back.
And I think if you're self-reflection. Yeah, exactly. And if you're an employer, right, you have people working for you, and you've got that in your culture. We got to do some self-reflection on how to fix what you're doing, because not every company has 70% of their employees wanting to, look around for another job. I mean, some companies, they love there's no way that Sleeptrain had 70% of their people looking for job, wishing they weren't there. There's no way.
No. Well, one, we had a very specific purpose, improving lives. I still remember it to this day. Improving lives one relationship at a time. That's what we did. And it started internally first. Always take care of the person internally. So we want you to take care of the other department, the other coworker, anyone that works first inside our organization. Take care of them first. We want you to do that. And then from there, show the love to the external customer.
Absolutely. And everything is a leadership issue. If you are the owner or the president of the company, one of the owners, and you're not committed to the company, right? Your teammates end up being a reflection of your level of commitment. So if your commitment is, so-so, you're on your back 9 and maybe just, collecting the check, you're going to have a 70% problem.
Yeah. And that does happen. So if you're not committed any longer to your company, you started it. So you gave birth to that dream. You just got to hire someone that has that commitment, that'll take it from you. They'll take the baton from you and continue moving on. And you're just going to take more of a sideline approach and maybe be a mentor for them, maybe be on the board or different things. And
do you help people with those challenges? Do you help people with those transitions? Okay, because those are important. Yeah.
Because entrepreneurs, most of the entrepreneurs I know, they have one business, they move on to another business, and they move on to another business, and they're like, oh, I'm trying to do everything. I'm so busy. I'm all over. But then they can't give people control. And that's where let's find somebody.
And lo and behold, your company's more valuable if it's not relying on you, the owner, or to run the thing. I mean, if you have leadership, that's part of the reason why Sleeptrain was so valuable is like Dale, the founder, right? He had spread the love, with the ESOP and so on, but it wasn't totally reliant on Dale. It wasn't it wasn't named Dale Carlson's, beds, right? It was your guys' baby, and it, made it really valuable.
That's where he was outstanding at giving us ownership. Yeah. And then holding us accountable, but letting us do something. And I can tell you, there's some times where it wasn't Dale's way, and he was okay with it. He would step back and okay, let you run with it, because he knew if they had ownership, they're going to get it right. They're going to own it. They're going to take it. They're going to have their own account. If he says, do it my way or the highway, guess what? We're like, okay, we'll do it, but we don't agree with it. Guess what? It's going to fail. So that's where he was always really good at, just being flexible in the details.
Yeah.
And
well, you brought me a gift, which is something in your book. You said that if you give people gifts, and this is one of my takeaways from your book. Is you talked about gratitude, and then you talked about helper's high, and I wrote that down. I'm like, oh, I've never heard of the helper's high, helping people. But then you also talked about giving gifts as part of like what it inspires you to be able to provide generosity to other people. It changes your mindset. And I've seen that in myself too. I'm not very good at giving gifts, but when I do, it does more for me than it does.
And before you look
people.
in there, how does it make you feel that I just brought something?
I'm happier than heck.
Yeah,
but you're happier than me, according to your book.
I am. I'm excited. I'm actually tickled pink.
And we have your soccer ball.
I'm glad it's being recorded.
And so we have your soccer ball as well that you gave me last time you were on the show, and it says, stay rare. And it's like, I put it up on my mantle. I'm proud of this. And it's something that it reminds me of you when I walk by it every day on the way to the bathroom there. Oh no, this is going to motivate me.
Look at that.
I can already tell this is going to motivate me. Okay, yeah, so some of you are listening to this on podcast. Some of you are seeing this on YouTube. Okay, these are one boxing glove, and the Champion Advantage, mastering how to win at home and work. Love it. And I've got the boxing glove. Where's the other boxing glove?
MAA. Well, I can get you the other one.
Oh, no, I don't.
I don't know if you're going to use this. If you're going to use it, I'll get you the other one. I got it.
No, I'm not going to use it. I'm going to put it next to your soccer ball on my mantle.
Okay.
No, everything in my office, including, I have a Lou Holtz football over there, by the way. Everything has a story behind it, and where I got the gift. But heck yeah, ladies and gentlemen.
What does it say?
Okay, I'm sorry. Oh,
no, you're good.
I'm already using the boxing gloves. I want to go hit something. Mark, you're a champion. Hernani. Thank you. I appreciate you calling me a champion. I just feel like a regular guy that's battling for sure, and the championship. Being here with you on the show is a championship moment for me. I guess sometimes I forget to celebrate the little wins this is not a little win. The wins that I get, and that's. But I'm going to celebrate this one, so thank you very much. I appreciate that. And I want to give you the floor because I sort of hijacked. I'm so excited about these topics of how to win that I ended up hijacking this show at some level with a lot of my opinions. But I want to make sure you, if there's other things that you wanted to make sure you cover and maybe some closing thoughts and words of wisdom in terms of the championship and the Champion Advantage that I didn't allow you to cover yet because of my hijacking.
No, I think it did you great. I love seeing that passion, which has a purpose behind it, which is outstanding. But what I do is I get to work with organizations. I've worked with organizations from helicopter companies to sewer districts to tile companies to banks to doctors. So it's fun seeing that, but it comes down to the people. The most important asset you have as an organization is your people. So I get to work with them, help them fall in love with accountability on how to win hearts. So what happens is most organizations have never trained anybody on accountability. Mm-hmm. We just kind of learn it from someone else. So I get to work with them on that. And now Champion Advantage, kind of getting their mindset, working with executives and leaders to make sure that they're focused and they're getting what they want to get out in life. Mm-hmm. So I sometimes tell them what they don't want to hear. Yeah. And I get to check their blind spots. So I enjoy doing that. And
now, when you do that, do you go? Do you just do some speaking? Is there a series of workshops? What does it look like when you go to help a company? Is it a program? You put them on a program?
Yeah. So there's 3 different ones. It could be I can come in, just work with your leadership team once, and then they kind of go through the book, whichever one on that. But most of them, I do a full day workshop, really get them aligned, and then I stay on to show them the proof. That's the most important thing of any rollout is the proof. So we roll out, everyone's happy. Okay, we said we're going to make these improvements. And then I stay on with them for 90 days to 6 months to make sure that they're getting the proof, that they're celebrating the small wins, that they're starting to take action and starting to see some some things come to fruition. So it's
it.
fun.
I love it. Well, thank you for everything you've done for me, for the gifts, for sure, for helping me with the launch of the Growth Factory and all the other generosity that you're showing to my friends and our companies. And, you've helped us so much over the years, but appreciate your friendship and look forward to, celebrating in the backyard with you moving forward. So thank you very much.
My pleasure. I like to always end with one of my favorite quotes, Abraham Lincoln. The best way to predict the future is to go out and create it. Take action. Go get it done. We've all got it in us.
Best way to predict the future is to go out and create it. Hernani Alves, thanks for sharing your story. Thanks for educating and inspiring our audience today and me.
Awesome. Love you, brother.
Love you too. Thanks.
Thanks for watching today's show. My goal for every episode is that you find a takeaway, something tangible you can use in your business today. And if you have a comment about a favorite takeaway, feel free to put it in the box below. And if you have a topic that you'd like me to bring up on the show, don't forget to let me know. And also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you want to learn more about entrepreneurship. Because at Haney Biz, we are always by your side.